I'm Suzanne Sybilla. I'm the owner of Sybilla and Associates, which is the premier leadership and employee development company. Overcome obstacles, reframe your reality, love life, and have growth goals. Change and shift your energy. Pivot. Welcome, everyone. I'm Suzanne Sybilla, your host of Pivot Now, where we bring on interesting, exciting, and dynamic guests who will share with us their tips, tricks, and life and business hacks to help you pivot in your life. I am so excited to bring this guest on our show. I am very honored to have her on our show. She is absolutely amazing, and you're going to need to watch our show all the way till the end, folks, because she's going to drop a lot of gold nuggets and amazing tips, tools, and techniques. So let me tell you a little bit about her. She has an amazing background. So she is a speaker, a very inspirational speaker, an author, and a coach. And she has traveled worldwide. So she started her entrepreneurial business when her son was diagnosed with a rare form of dwarfism, and she didn't know what to do. There was no blueprint on how do you manage and how do you deal with a son that has dwarfism. He was severely bullied as well when he was going through school. And so she ended up really advocating for him and advocating against anti-bullying campaigns. She even had a bill go through Congress on this. So it's absolutely amazing. And now her son, his name is Brandon. She is his Momager, right? She manages his business. And so he is a speaker. He's an author. He travels all over the United States talking about anti-bullying and also being able to stand tall, so to speak, right? And so here is our guest, amazing guest, Sylvia Farbstein. Welcome, Sylvia. So great to have you on our show.
Hi, Suzanne. So great to be here. I'm very excited to speak.
Thank you so much. Again, I feel so honored to have you here. Like I said, I've been tracking you guys, watching you. I don't mean to be a stalker or anything, but I've been watching you, and just the success of Brandon is so amazing. It's so inspirational, so motivational as well.
Thank you. It is nothing that we could have imagined, but we are here for the ride.
Yes. So tell me, how did you overcome those obstacles? Because I'm sure there were a number of obstacles in your path, getting him to where he is now.
Yeah, well, I think, to kind of set the context, we got Brandon's diagnosis when he was 2.5 years old. And it really took me leaning into what my gut was telling me when I took him on his 2-year checkup. Despite the fact that the pediatrician said he looked great, I said, something tells me otherwise. It appears to me that his torso is lengthening, but his limbs are shorter. What's going on? And so the pediatrician took a closer look, took action, sent us to a geneticist, and it took them 6 months to diagnose him. So that was my number one lesson, that even if you are with people of authority, you are the expert on yourself, on your child, and you really need to lean into your gut. And it also caused me to start advocating for him, because as Brandon stands at 3 foot 11 inches tall, he is not built as a 24-year-old for this world. However, instead of staying stuck and feeling sorry or limiting himself, we decided, my husband, Steve, and I, that we were going to raise him to have the best life possible. And to have the best life possible, you just need to call BS on things that have been done the way they've been done, and really try to innovate your own solution. And we've had to do that, since the beginning. And that truly has empowered Brandon to create a beautiful life for himself.
Wow, amazing. I mean, really, really amazing. So can you give us some pointers on that? I'm sure there's many in our audience that are dealing with, with kids that have need accommodations, for example, or have disabilities, or dealing with bullying. We had our guest speaker last week that has a whole anti-bullying campaign because that's so prevalent in the schools. So can you give us some advice about that?
Absolutely. We realized that, with the experience that Brandon had being severely cyberbullied by his high school peers, that there really wasn't anything that we can do to stop bullying. But what we can do is flip the script and figure out what is it that we can impact on future generations, on those kids that are coming up through the education system. What can we do to equip them to deal with the harsh reality of what will happen to so many people? And we realized that those who are bullying are the ones that do not have a sense of self-esteem. They do not have awareness. They do not have the inner worth. So I would say, for parents, start with leaning into who your kids are. Meet them where they are. See what their interests are. Enter their world. It will make them feel a sense of belonging. It will make them feel loved. It will make them feel like they are being seen. And I truly do think that that starts at home. And sometimes, for whatever reason, it's not possible to have that environment at home. So I would say, if you are an educator, if you are an adult that has the opportunity to be in a child's life, you can take on that role. Because at the end of the day, no matter how young or how old we are, we want to feel as if we matter. So if we can build that sense of self-esteem, not based on what the outside world is providing for us, but what we feel from the inside out, I truly think that lays the foundation for people not to have to lash out at others.
So true. So true. I mean, I think that is the crux of it all, right? Is to have that healthy self-esteem, healthy self-love, right? And self-worth. I think that is so important. And to feel like you're being seen, heard, and understood.
Exactly. And that, truthfully, is what led Brandon to write the book that's right in back of me, a kid's book about self-love. He wrote that during the pandemic because he knew that that was something that he needed when he was going through some really rough times during his childhood. So he now is thrilled to be able to give our young ones the language to truly embrace who they are, to lean into their awesome uniqueness. Because at the end of the day, that is what makes you stand out, and that is your superpower.
I love it. I love it. That's hearts right there. Hearts and fire right there, Sylvia. I just love that. What you're just saying right now is so important. The self-love and self-acceptance is so vitally important. So I'm wondering, this part of our show, we call it 3, 2, 1, go. And so we want to know from you, give us 3 tips, 2 strategies, and 1 action item to pivot our lives forward.
So I would start with saying, stop controlling the uncontrollable. If you think about it, over 90% of life is truly uncontrollable. And so many of us spend so much of our energy trying to, add structure and rigidity to things that literally cannot be changed. Once we feel comfortable with not controlling those things that we can't control, then we could be open to the adventures that life brings our way, those unexpected change of plans, those twists and turns that we could really lean into. So I would say that would be the first thing. The second thing would be challenge yourself to stretch and grow. Growth is definitely not a linear process. It does not end when we are physically at the stature that we are at. It is a mind shift that you can expand and grow and truly change every single day. And the third thing I would say is be intentional with how you spend your energy and who you allow to be in your A team. If you have people around you that drain the life out of you or don't challenge you to be a better person or find your inner gifts, then I would say you may want to expand your A team, because we want to surround ourselves with people that not only support us, but truly lift us up so we could rise, and in turn lend a helping hand to those that we can help rise beneath us.
Oh my gosh. I love what you just said, Sylvia. Oh my gosh. This is gold right there. Gold. Pure gold, because that is so true, right? I needed to hear that from you, especially about the level of uncertainty. We're living in an uncertain time right now, and to want to control everything, right, in our environment and everything going on, it's impossible, right? But we can control what goes on in the interior world, right? We can't control what goes on the outside. We can control what goes on in the inside. So I love that you said that. I also love that you talk about like who you belong to, who you associate with, who is in your world, right? You have control over that too. And so if you are with like toxic type people, don't be with that. Like find people that lift you up and motivate you and inspire you. I think that is so important. That's so great. So what are your two techniques in order to do that?
The first starts with how you treat yourself. I always say our words matter, but truthfully, it is how we speak to ourselves that matters the most. If you think about it, we, especially as women, tend to be pretty harsh on ourselves. And sometimes we talk to ourselves in a way that we would not even speak to our worst enemy. And we are the ones that we have to live with every single day. So I would say pay attention to how it is you are talking to yourself and treating yourself. Giving that sense of grace and self-compassion will not only make a difference in how you feel, but in how you show up. The other thing I would say is find awe in corners of your day. What I mean is sometimes all it takes is going for a walk. You know, I'd love to take my dog on a walk after dinner, and I have learned that if I time it right, I can watch the sunset. And to me, there is nothing more beautiful than watching the sunset, especially after a gray day. Some of the best sunsets appear. And it just reminds me, first of all, that no matter how grave we think our problems are, we are just so minute in this expansive, beautiful universe. It also shows me that the sun never wears the same outfit twice. So there's always something to be surprised about. And it always resets, no matter what kind of day it has been. It resets so that the next morning it can rise up again. So I love the experience of, you know, being in the moment, finding the moment of awe, and even documenting it. If you look at my Facebook, I'm obsessed with taking pictures of sunsets. And I feel that it really helps soothe the soul and recharges us in a way that reminds us that things are going to be okay.
I love that. I mean, it's life's simple pleasures, right? Because a lot of times we go through life and we get so busy and we can get overwhelmed and stressed out and all of that. And to really be intentional in our life and to take those moments where we find the pleasure, we find the joy, we find the simple things in life, that make us happy. I love that
Yes.
about being in the, in the sunset and walking your dog. That is so great. Love that so much. So what is the one action item that we can take to pivot our lives forward?
So I would say be a lifelong learner. Age is just a number, is what is often said. But I have lived to see that no matter how young or how old we are capable of breaking barriers. An example of this is that the year that Brandon was severely cyberbullied, we happened to meet someone who was connected to Tony Robbins, and Tony invited us to his live event, Unleash the Power Within.
Wow.
At the age of 50, I walked on fire. If you would have asked me several months leading up to that, would you ever consider walking on fire? I would have laughed at you and said, absolutely not. However, being open to the unknown and going into his event, and obviously he trained us for the entire day. So I am not advocating for anyone to walk on fire without proper training.
Yes, yes.
It's just being open to it and being curious, and being a lifelong learner also means being more interested in people. Think about it. When you meet someone and you ask them questions and you are interested in them, what do they automatically feel? They automatically sense that you are an interesting person. So I think it's a beautiful way of creating genuine connection with people. And both Brandon and I have had time and time again, random strangers in our path totally change the trajectory of our life. It came with that stranger who was connected to Tony Robbins. It came with a stranger at the airport who saw Brandon when he was 15 years old, riding on his Segway mobility device. She stopped to talk to him. She asked him a ton of questions. And instead of him being a typical teen and feeling like it was a cringy experience, he leaned in, he connected with her. And guess what? That woman, several months later, led him to the TEDx stage. And that is how
Amazing.
my son
my
found
gosh.
his purpose, by being on that red circle. As he describes it, those 6.5 minutes changed his life and made him realize that his why is to be on stages and share his story and his life lessons and to connect people. And so if we hadn't stopped and he didn't have a conversation with this woman, who knows where life would have taken him? I see this happen time and again on all of our travels. Of course, I love the fact that we get to be on stages, and I love watching him on the huge stages. But truthfully, the most meaningful parts of our entire journey have been in the corners of the day, where we have randomly met people, but then we connect with them and one thing leads to another. So I would say lean into those opportunities, because most of the time we're so busy with our hectic lives, running from point A to point B, that we don't realize the magic around us. And it's around all of us.
Wow. Wow. That brings tears to my eyes. The whole story of how Brandon goes on the TEDx stage. By meeting a stranger, that absolutely amazing. And then that he's now a speaker and he travels all over the world speaking on stages. It's absolutely amazing. Like he found his why, and yeah, what an amazing story. Thank you for sharing that, Sylvia. Really, thank you for sharing that. So motivational.
Well, I remember during my most challenging times when I was raising Brandon, I felt so alone. His condition is so rare that there are less than 100 documented cases in medical history. And when he got his diagnosis, there was no internet, there were no Facebook groups. And now I realize what an important thing it is for parents to have someone who's a few steps ahead, who can give you an idea that, you know what, a diagnosis does not have to define nor confine how you live your life. And it's not something that comes easily. It's very challenging. Adversity shows up on every corner in Brandon's life, in our lives. But for me to know at the age of 24 that he has spent over 2 years now living 2,200 miles away from my husband and I, living independently, you know, I can now look back and realize that when we let our kids fall and figure out how to get back up, it empowers them and gives them a sense of independence that nothing else will. So I would say, you know, yes, lean into all of the uncertainty, but also parents, stop rescuing your children from experiencing adversity. Because if you really want them to build that muscle of resilience, of innovating their own solution, of adaptability in a world that is changing so quickly, then we have to really provide them with the opportunity to see what they are capable of starting at younger ages.
Oh my gosh, this is so true. So true, right? I mean, because I see it. I see it. I mean, we have a 16-year-old teenage son, right? And we've gone through a lot of different challenges. And I see that. It's like, you got to let them go. You got to let them experience life. You got to let them fail too, right? A lot of times as parents, we don't want to see our kids struggle or fail, but that is a part of life. They do become more resilient, just like how Brandon is very resilient. I mean, he's independent. He has his career. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. Again, very inspirational and very motivational. Thank you so much for this. So where can we find you?
So I am on LinkedIn under Sylvia Farbstein. I am on Facebook and Instagram at Speak Beyond Words. And I love to connect, and I hope that many more conversations will take place, because I feel like sometimes we really think that we need to figure everything out on our own. But at the end of the day, none of us can do it alone. And we need to be able to talk to each other, find support, and learn from one another.
So true. We need each other. We need
Yes,
each other, and we need a sense of community, right? We need the
for
community.
sure.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for being on Pivot Now. We greatly appreciate you and appreciate all the work that you're doing, all the work that Brandon's doing. Absolutely amazing. And we have all your social media accounts, after this recording, and you can connect with Sylvia. So thank you so much. Oh, and by the way, are you doing any public speaking events, or is Brandon doing any public
Yeah.
speaking events that we can see?
Yeah. So our next international event will be in Banff, Canada.
Oh, wow. How
Yeah,
fun.
which I cannot wait to experience the natural beauty of Banff. I have seen so many photos. We cannot wait to go there. It will be an incredible international conference of educational leaders. And he's doing, a bunch of events domestically. And then this summer, I will be speaking at Chautauqua, which is an incredible place in upstate New York for lifelong learners. They bring in all kinds of speakers and offer some wonderful experiences. And I'm really excited about that opportunity.
Wow. Sounds fantastic. Wow. Especially going to Banff. That sounds great. Love that
Yeah.
area. So cool. Well, again, thank you so much. And thank you, our audience, for watching Pivot Now. We're here every Tuesday, 10 o'clock Pacific time, 1 o'clock Eastern time. And if you ever need any coaching, we're starting a whole new group coming up in a couple of weeks. And it's all about mindset, how important mindset matters, and overcoming your obstacles, reframing your reality, and also loving life and having a vivid vision with growth goals. So join us. You can text me and email me. You've got Suzanne at SybillaCoaching.com, and text and email me. If you want to join our program, we're here for you. So pivot now. Live life abundantly. Change and shift your energy. Pivot.